All right. So I don't know if you can tell, Robert, but
Yeah.
I'm in Key West.
It would be what? Everything looks so normal.
I don't think I've
It
ever
looks
done
like
a show with sunglasses before, but I think it works.
you're like Kara Swisher. You're like Kara Swisher now.
I think it plays. But here's the important thing. The important thing is I almost ran into somebody that you really like, who's an actor, yesterday.
Oh, who's that?
You
Who's
want to
that?
take a guess? I mean, if you know the show, if you know the show,
I need a hint.
It is a show that's on Apple that is based in Key West, Florida.
Oh,
do you know?
All
right,
I know the show.
This is good.
I'm trying to think of this.
This is good radio. You're working.
This is great radio. Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Tell me the show. Tell me the show, and then I'll try to guess.
The show's actor. Bad Monkey, and the
oh, that's right. Swingers.
Vince Vaughn.
Vince Vaughn. Yes.
Anyways, so we're walking.
That was fascinating.
Oh, yeah, wasn't that great? We're walking. Yeah, we're walking back to our hotel. And they've got the whole street shut down because you can see Vince in the background doing.
They're doing Bad Monkey.
They're doing Bad Monkey, and they're shutting down half of Duval today, which I don't know how they're going to. Duval is like the main drag in Key West, and they're like filming today, which is. And I thought of you because I know how much of a Vince Vaughn fan you are.
I'm not sure what that means, but yeah, okay.
Nothing to do with it.
I'll just go with it.
This is good. So we're gonna do the best we can with this show because I can already tell it's gonna be a train wreck, and probably mostly because of me. So let's go.
And now, for your listening pleasure, here's Pulizzi and Rose covering the week of media, marketing, and digital content news. Take it away, boys.
Well, hello, friends. Welcome to This Old Marketing, proudly brought to you by the HubSpot Podcast Network, the audio destination for business professionals. And I'm Robert Rose. And with me, hopefully, as always, my co-host and a guy who would never cheat at curling like the Canadians, Mr. Joe Pulizzi from Key West.
Thank you. I'm here. Yeah. I got to tell you.
Yeah.
We were talking beforehand. Yeah. For the last hour and 15 minutes, I've been sweating trying to find a place with enough internet in Key West that I could talk to you.
Yeah.
And I was literally huddled in the corner of the laptop was on a humidifier, and I'm trying to open the shades enough so that you could see me because the room only has blue light. It's like It's like some kind of science fiction experiment room where it's supposed to be romantic, but it's real soft blue light. And I'm like, well, Robert would like that. I mean, I think he would dig that look.
Yeah, well, I think I like what. Yeah, I mean, you've got a good look going. Let's just be clear. You've got sort of a Key West look going for you. So you're definitely winning Rome.
It's right. So well, I kept dropping my line from the room. So I go down to the front. So I go out. So I'm on, for those of you that know Key West, I'm right off of Duval. It's the main drag. All the bars are there, but we're staying in a really, really nice hotel called the Saint. And it's an autograph collection. If you know Marriott's autograph collection,
yeah, of course, yeah.
So this is very bougie for us. We don't usually no, you don't think of me and bougie. I know that, Robert, but here we are. And I went out to the rooftop bar, and this is where they have like at night they've got a great musician out here doing their thing. But I come out here, I get like 8 download speed. I checked it on speed test, and I'm like,
ooh, but that's not going to cut it.
I was 1 in the room. I 800% increased it. So here we are. I'm out on with 8 download speed. And if I'm probably people who, if you're watching on YouTube or LinkedIn, I'm probably coming in muffled, but this is the best we got. If you can hear me.
Yeah. Look, the audio is great. Your audio is great.
It's all that matters.
And the video, quite honestly, is good too. I mean, it's like, it's going to be what it's going is
I have a face
2026. You would think we would have this solved now, but we don't. So
I have a face for radio anyways. So this is going to work out beautifully. And I got to tell you, I'm going to do the best I can on the show. You're going to have to carry it because I literally have no F's to give.
Well, what else is new? I mean, what else is new? I mean, that's you know, I mean, let's just be honest here. Like,
let's just be honest.
yeah.
Well, that's when somebody writes us and they like, it's a very sincere question. Go into thisoldmarketing.com. You can write us and we'll answer your questions. But they write in, and you know what happens. I get them, and then I'm like, I love this question.
Sure.
Robert, can you answer it? Because I don't have. I've been out of the game so long. I don't know. But
if it's about novel writing or Key West, you can answer the question. If
it's about Key West,
elsewise,
actually,
yeah.
My rave and my commentary are around Key West because I haven't been paying attention to the news. I did hear about the curling thing, about the guy who with the rock, like right at the end, he like touched it with his
with his index finger.
Index finger. Is that a thing?
Yeah, and then well, but what makes it so funny is that it was the Canadians, right? You know, who you totally understand why they're feeling a bit prickly right now about everything, right? But the funny thing is that they're, you know, they dropping F-bombs and like, it's like Canadians dropping F-bombs, you know, it's like they're always so polite.
I think it's our fault. Great. I think it's the US's fault for that because we've sent them over the edge.
100% yes.
So
that's why I totally get their anger right now, and you know, it's just amusing that that anger is kind of overflowing at the Olympics. You know, it's just like they're taking it out. You know, they're just grieving. You know what I mean? It's in everything else that's going on in the world right now. It's a bit of levity in terms of what's happening, and I mean, the Olympics in general have had all kinds of drama this year, so it's pretty fascinating.
Well, I know the Lindsey Vonn thing. I mean, I paid attention to that.
Well, there's the Lindsey Vonn thing, but then there's also the guy who cheated the guy who cheated on his I think he's a skier.
Oh, he did the interview afterward, and then came out and said I cheated on my partner.
I cheated on my girlfriend, and I'm basically coming clean now, and hopefully she'll take me back. And then the response from the ex-girlfriend was, he knows how I feel about this, which is like, oh. But the thing is, then you have the other skier, or is a skater, it's a biathlete, I think, and she was accused last year. It's a French, I think she is a French athlete who was accused of stealing her friend's or her coach's credit card and going on a buying spree. And so she's now like this accused thief, and she's now winning medals. It's like it's a little.
That's crazy. And by the way, for those of you watching on YouTube or whatever, this video is already, because I'm getting all kinds of errors. This is the worst problem I've had in 3 years. That tells you how hard my life is. This is the worst thing to ever happen. That and yesterday,
that's exactly right.
I tried to open.
Right.
I'll tell you this story, and I know I'm on a little bit delay, but I'll tell you this story. So we go and we want to take out some bikes, and I go and I take the key, and I put it in the wrong lock, and I broke the key, and I felt so bad going to the front desk and telling them that I totally ruined their whole lock system. They had to give me a new bike and everything. I apologize profusely, but that's the second worst thing that happened to me. That night, I broke their whole lock system.
These are all not problems. These are all the problems of a man of leisure, as it were.
So I think we should.
You need not worry.
I think we should run through the show.
While
we have internet, and let's do this thing. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, keep going. All right. Okay. So we've got a great show. We're going to talk a little bit about the fact that social media is on trial, and nobody seems to really care. But it's going on here in my hometown of Los Angeles. So we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll talk about how agentic AI seems to be taking over the world, and maybe OpenAI just bought OpenClaw, kind of in an acqui-hire thing. So we'll talk about agentic AI a bit. Then we'll pay some bills. Then we'll get to the fact that Apple has just launched, just perfect timing for us here, has launched video podcasts. So video podcast coming to Apple for all of you content creators out there. And we'll talk some about that. And we'll get to our winners and losers. I will talk about the loser that is Amazon and Ring. and how they're just really didn't read the room. Joe, what are you talking about? I forget. You have a loser, I think, right? You know what
I'm
you're talking
talking. No,
about?
no, no. I'm going to talk about two
Um,
things in Key West.
Joe is trying to get back on Wi-Fi. All right, then Joe, we'll talk about a winner and loser, assuming we get Joe back from the bar, and then I will rant a little bit about what's going on with this viral thing that's happening, where people are talking about all kinds of things with regard to agentic AI and what's happening with AI. And so, yeah, that's what we got the show. Joe's going to go off a video, and I'm going to actually click on the first story here that we're going to talk about, which is, of course, the fact that social media is on trial. It's interesting because nobody really seems to, give a crap about this, but it's happening. And Zuckerberg actually testified yesterday. The headline that we'll pull from The Guardian is Zuckerberg grilled in landmark social media trial over teen mental health. That happened just yesterday as we record this. The article opens up by saying the Meta CEO, Mark Zuckerberg, testified at a landmark trial of social media companies on Wednesday. By the way, Adam Mosseri from Instagram was the day before. Plaintiffs' lawyers grilled Zuckerberg about whether internal complaints that not enough was being done to verify whether children under 13 were using the platform. Zuckerberg basically claimed Meta had improved in identifying underage users, but said, I always wish that we could have gotten there sooner. Maybe the line of the trial, though, was basically when Zuckerberg was continued to be grilled and said basically that, asked him about his media training and how he's responded in the past to this. He said, I think it's pretty well known that I'm not good at this. I'm not actually good at this testifying thing. So anyway, that was sort of the thing. And really the entire trial focuses on how young kids have been influenced and really, damaged by social media. It's the first in many cases that are going to come up this year in this, and it's already does not seem to be going well for the social media companies. And some of the stuff that they're saying, it just seems to be, well, pretty ridiculous in terms of, like Adam Mosseri came out and basically said, I don't think there's a thing here, right? I don't think people are getting addicted to it or influenced by it. It's just like when kids watch too much TV. So, which is it's a little crazy.
You've talked about this before, and I think what I would call this is just theater.
Yeah.
Because
yeah. I agree.
Well, let me explain, and then you can go
Yeah.
you can go too and give your take. We've known that they've known this for a long time. That first they tried to get younger people on the platform for a very long time because I think they had evil standards. I don't know if they do today, but I don't trust anything that Meta does. So I think that they were trying to get younger people on the platform. They knew that they were doing this, and they also had data before anyone else that social media excessive usage was horrible for kids. It increased the likelihood of depression, all sorts of terrible things. And if you read through the article, I mean, there's some really bad things that happen, suicides.
Sure. Yeah.
And they're in court for, there's just a lot of horrible things going on. My take is, and my concern is, this is where I want your take. I don't think anything is going to change. I don't even know why we're doing this, because we seem to be living in a culture right now. Let me get your take on that. Does that jive with what you're thinking?
Yeah, it does to a certain degree, right? Which is, I get it. I get what you're saying, which is that it, in so many ways, this looks performative. I think it will. I think as this case goes, I think either the floodgates open and we start to see some precedents get set and we start to see some change actually happen, and not just the theater that it's been for so many congressional hearings and so many other types of things. And it might just inspire, enough of these court cases stacked together, and it might inspire. I mean, again, we shouldn't lose the sight of the fact that this is an election year. And so nothing's going to happen this year. But if it starts to open up enough court cases and enough things go sideways for these social media platforms, we could see basically some of these platforms be opened up to new legislation, which could theoretically happen maybe next year. So I think there's more meat on the bone here than is usual. But I think, to your point, in many ways, this is it ends up if nothing other happens other than, yeah, oh yeah, it's a real bummer, and we can't really make a decision because this is a jury trial. Everybody needs to remember. So if one way or the other, it's gonna come down to some level of liability. And if they don't get found liable, then I think all the other cases are really doomed. But if they are found liable, I think it might be there might be some some more interesting things here.
Well, I guess I hope something happens with the case, but I guess I don't think there's going to be legislation, especially with what's going on with AI. You're going to have this tidal wave of AI complaints and lawsuits that happen in the next couple of years. All the companion stuff that's coming out, I think it's going to be a real problem. And I think this social media will be seen as something lesser than what's going on with AI, and it will totally be engulfed. And I think that's what Meta's hoping for. I think we're going to have OpenAI, we're going to have Claude stuff, we're going to have Gemini going to be involved in lawsuits, and maybe if we just lengthen this thing out for the next 16, 24 months, whatever the case is, they'll forget about it.
They may. You may be absolutely right here. I think again, I'll come back to, I think it really comes down to how this goes. I think this is a litmus test. I 100% buy into your argument that they're looking to punt this as far down the field as they can, and wait it out because there's so much more controversy coming down the road, plus the elections, and then so it's in every part of their best interest for Meta, and the other was, by the way, because Meta's not the only one on trial here. This is you've got Google's on the stand here, you've got X to a certain degree is on the stand here. And so these elements basically we'll see what happens. And I totally get that it's in their best interest to wait and wait and wait and wait and wait. But if they get a judgment here, then I think you're going to start to see, because there's other cases pending. There's like 5 or 6 or 7 other cases that are basically waiting in the wings here. And if precedent gets set here, then I think the gloves may come off. But yeah, I totally hear what you're saying.
I hope you're right, because I'm not for regulation or legislation or anything like that, but I feel something has to happen with this, but my concern is it's gone too far. I don't know how you put the genie back in the bottle.
Maybe not. Yeah. So you may be right. Well, speaking of genies out of the bottle, let's very quickly get to our other story here in the big news, which is agentic AI is taking over the world. And OpenAI just bought OpenClaw, which again doesn't feel like a big thing in everything else that's going on in the world of AI. But boy, in the last month, it seems like everybody's talking about agentic and what's going on with agentic AI, and all of that, and sort of the whole, creating Dr. Seuss poems out of generative AI seems to yeah, that's nice, but now we have agents who will do everything for us, including kill off the entire software as a service industry. This article that we'll put up is going to come from CNET, although there are a number of other publications that are talking about it. This is basically, if ChatGPT's launch in 2022 marked the beginning of mainstream conversational AI, OpenClaw's viral debut this year, and it was viral, may represent the inflection point for autonomous agents. It makes sense then that OpenClaw founder Peter Steinberger is now joining ChatGPT maker OpenAI in a deal that guarantees the open source AI assistant stays independent, which makes no sense to me, because the OpenAI assistant stays independent. It's not independent. It's now part of OpenAI. But okay, I guess go ahead and write
what
that.
Does that mean? Like running it as an independent entity within OpenAI?
I guess open source is what they're claiming,
open
right?
Source.
But remember OpenAI's other promise about open source and nonprofit. Remember that? Yeah.
I see a trend.
Yeah. They can be so trusted when it comes to that kind of thing.
You can't trust them all.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a partnership that could define the year and potentially the next phase of AI. Steinberger posted on X on Sunday that he would be joining OpenAI to focus on bringing AI agents to a broad audience. And at the same time, he said OpenClaw project would transition to a foundation, remaining open and independent rather than a traditional startup, which that just made me laugh out loud given OpenAI's history. But anyway, all of this is sort of in the context of basically Claude and their code and their agents that they've Anthropic, I guess I should say, the parent company there has announced with their agents. agents are everywhere right now. When I rant a little later, I'm going to talk about a little bit about that. But what is your take now on sort of where, what you're seeing when it comes to AI agents? I mean, I have a definite take on it from my client work, but I'd love to get your sense of it in the world of content creation and media and all the things that you're dealing with.
Well, I did a speech about a month ago, and I had 3 people there come up to me and ask me about Claude Cowork. And this is before Cowork took off.
Yeah.
It was right when it launched, and I'm like, Claude Cowork, whatever. But the fact that it was multiple people coming up to me talking about how amazing it was and all the things that they're doing with it, you could sense, at least I could sense at that point, that OpenAI already going from first to third within the last 6 months. And we talked about this a couple episodes ago, where you clearly had OpenAI ChatGPT as sort of the number one shining star AI tool out there in the marketplace. Then you had Anthropic Claude. Then you had Google Gemini. And for whatever reasons, and we've talked about some of them, that switched. It went from Gemini, I think, to number one or / Claude, but those are the 1, 2. And then you had ChatGPT, OpenAI as number 3. And I think this specifically is in reaction to the fact that with the agents or agentic or whatever you want to call it, OpenAI felt behind the 8 ball.
Yeah.
And they had to do something. I don't think this thing happened over months. I think this was a couple weeks.
Yeah, I think you're right.
That they negotiated this out. And of course, Sam Altman and the crew at OpenAI took to social media and said how amazing this is. And we're back on top and all this other stuff. It feels a little bit desperate to me. But clearly, this is where we're going, right? It's the whole fact that AI is going to be doing things for us while we sleep and becoming our assistants plus. And OpenClaw seemed to be, that kind of tool that took the marketplace by storm. It was surprising.
Yeah, well, it was the Moltbot thing, right? I mean, it was the
Moltbot,
basic,
which is now OpenClaw. What is the overall company? Moltbot.
Well, it was so. I mean, to your point, this happened literally in a month, right? So it was called Claudebot, CLAWD bot, and then Anthropic went, no,
because they were using Claude. It was built on top of Claude.
That's right. And so Anthropic went, no, you can't do that. So they said, okay, well, we'll change the name to Moltbot. And then it basically built that autonomous sort of Reddit where all the, sort of agents were going and talking with each other and posting, links with each other and all that kind of stuff, which was fascinating everybody sort of as a spectator sport. And then they've sort of changed it again to OpenClaw. And then literally all this happened in January. So I think you're exactly right. OpenAI went, we are behind. We need to continue to show that we're, capable of doing big revenue numbers. And we don't have anything in agents right now that's worth a shit. So let's hire this dude and give him a ton of money. And basically, make his company a non-profit, which is, well, we'll see about that.
Yeah.
So I think it's fascinating. I'm curious, when those people came up to you and said, "Oh, it's here. It's so amazing." What use cases were they telling you? What are they doing that was so amazing? Because this is the part that really baffles me.
No, and I don't know enough to say. The one guy that I was talking to just said, "Oh my God, I just got into Cowork and I've been doing this and this and automating this and that."
What is this and this? That's what I want to know. That's.
I don't know. I mean, I knitting. I have no idea what it would be.
See, that's the thing. I keep seeing all these people going, "This is the most amazing thing ever. I can make an app in like 5 minutes. I can just tell the app what I want and it'll go out and build it," which is all bullshit, by the way. And so for the most part, yes, can it build a little website for you? Can it do this kind of thing? Yes, but is the content going to be good? Is the thing going to be good? Probably not. It's not the whole thing that went viral this couple of weeks ago where the guy said, I ask it to do something, and 4 hours later, I come back and it's got a completely bulletproof code system for my new app. Is like, it's just not true. It's just not true.
I think some of that's happening. I'm not qualified to say what. I mean, I don't know. This is all hearsay. The things that I don't know. I'm under the assumption that something's happening. You're saying that it's all BS. That really
no, I'm not saying it's all.
Happening.
I'm not saying it's all BS. But what I'm seeing is either obfuscation. In other words, what I see a lot of is I'm doing the most amazing things with agents. And I go, okay, what are those amazing things? And it's like, no, they're really amazing things. They're just really awesome things. And I'm coding up. I'm truly awesome things. And I'm like, what are the awesome things? And it's like, they're really awesome. Or you get the use where they do get specific. It's like a use case where, I can have an agent go out and read my email invites and then attend a meeting but on my behalf. And then it attends the meeting and takes the notes, then sends me all the action items from the meeting that I didn't have to attend. And that's amazing. It's like, that's a use case that is so ridiculous that I'm never going to use that use case. That is not a productive use case. And so it's like this interesting thing where the use cases that I'm seeing for all of this agentic AI right now are kind of like, that's just not I don't care about that use case. I don't, it's, you know what I mean? It's like, and again, I know I'm sounding sort of like a Luddite here but I'm not really, and I think I'm pretty aware of this stuff. I just don't see this magical thing happening that seems to be everybody's like blowing smoke about. And so maybe I need to look harder, or maybe I just need to see the sunshine or something. But
let's
I'm not seeing it yet.
Let's do this. We have the most intelligent audience out there. So why don't we ask them to send us some cases that they've heard of in AI agentic?
Love that. I would love that. I would love to learn.
We will cover them, because we get some of our best content from our audience.
Yeah,
I mean, probably much better than we could find. So let's do that.
And again, I may be wrong. I am absolutely open to the fact that I have been in my own little bubble.
I'm open to the fact that you're wrong too.
Yeah,
just so you know. Right? I'm open to that.
Exactly. And I want to be the first person to say, look, I could be surprised. I'm hoping to be surprised, actually, that there are all these amazing things out there, but I just haven't seen it yet. And it's like, okay. And honestly, it has made me want to go try it so that I can actually try it for myself. Like I can see, and I just haven't, I've been busy.
Well, you are definitely with the Lila stuff. You are definitely way past most people I know. Like I put you in the top 2% of people that are using this stuff. So
that's all generative stuff, right? That's generative and working with AI and back and forth and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. It's just, it's not going out and, like I literally I did get an email that basically said it was using, at the time, it was in January. I got a sales email that basically said it was from Claudebot, and basically that it had gone out to this person's email list and basically created a quote unquote personalized email for everybody after looking at our LinkedIn profiles. And basically it then sent that spammy email saying, I can offer you services. And it said, I am an AI agent built by Claudebot. And it was selling that, right? It was selling the idea that we could automate your email marketing. And it's like, first of all, the email sucked. Second of all, the copy was horrible. Third of all, that it was not personalized in a good way. And fourth, it was just, it was like, it was so clear that it was like, it belied itself, right? In other words, telling me that you're AI and then not paying off it with a really high quality thing says, okay, this is still not ready for prime time. So you're not only not selling me, you're telling me why I shouldn't do this. And it's, anyway, I'll get off on a rant, but
I think you were already on the rant.
Yeah, I know.
I don't.
Yeah, it's true.
It's okay. It's true. I like that you're passionate about it. And
I got to make up for the fact that you're not on video. I got to make up enough visual.
I'm enjoying the sun here, just watching you do your thing. And I just, every once in a while, I have to say, okay, I think he's going to be done talking. And I have to insert my voice. And then I'm going to go back to laying out.
All I'm trying to do, man, is fill the holes. All I'm trying to do is fill the holes.
All right. I'm going to see if our ad works.
Yeah. Pay some bills if we.
I'm going to pay.
Caffeine and rage, had a stream
Hey marketers, using only 20% of your business data is like dating somebody who only texts emojis. First of all, that's annoying. Second, you're missing a lot of context. But that's how most businesses operate today, using only 20% of their data. Unless that is, you have HubSpot, where all the emails, call logs, and chat messages turn into insights to grow your business. Because all that data makes all the difference. Learn more today at HubSpot.com. Are you ready to make your billion-dollar move? Well, you should listen to the Billion Dollar Moves podcast, hosted by Sarah Chen Spellings, which features deep dives with founders and funders and building major companies. Billion Dollar Moves examines how enduring companies and the capital behind them are built. Through long-form conversations, the show explores decision-making under uncertainty, capital allocation, and the inflection points that shape category-defining businesses. From early platform backstories to allocator frameworks used across private markets, the focus is on judgment, incentives, and long-term value creation beyond the headlines and hype. You can find Billion Dollar Moves wherever you follow your favorite pods.
This song's just a funnel set to blow. So paying the bills ain't shameful, soft or small. It's a blood-stained glory code. I ain't selling out, baby. I'm just paying them all.
Okay, so we are back. This is probably the show that we're trying to muscle through the most right now. Joe is getting drunk, I think, at the bar right about now.
I spilled a margarita on my laptop. I think is what happened.
Something is going on. I mean, it's the magic of
it's
Florida.
The Key West, it's the Key West gremlins is what's happening.
There we go here. So we're going to quickly get through the rest of this stuff. So very, very quickly here, we're going to cover the next news story, which is, of course, Apple is launching podcasts. We will show the from the article is actually coming from the source of the news itself, which is Apple. And it says it's introducing a new video podcast experience on Apple Podcasts. It will enable its HLS video, which I guess everybody seems to really love for some reason. I'm not sure why, but everybody like raving about the fact that they're using this stuff. This HLS technology to set new standards that empowers podcast creators with unprecedented control and monetization opportunities while delivering the highest quality viewing experience for users. 20 years ago, Apple helped take podcasting mainstream, it said, and now it's doing it again by bringing a category-leading video experience to Apple Podcasts. I think it's available now. I got a note basically saying, hey, you can start doing this now as soon as your platform, whatever you use, supports the ability to publish into it. I did not get a chance prior to the podcast start to go check our own StreamYard and Libsyn. But I don't know. Did you get a chance to look at it?
No, I didn't. I didn't even get the note. There wasn't like a big announcement from any of the software packages we use that says, hey, this is now available. So my question to you is, I mean, they're so far behind Spotify and YouTube. Like what's the purpose now? Do they think that is this just for the highest of quality videos? What's the play here? I don't understand
I think it's the same as Spotify, right? I mean, I think what they're trying to do, it's the same as Spotify. It's the same as YouTube. It's basically, and the article covers it. Other articles, not the Apple one. Of course, they don't name their competitors right off the bat, but this is a direct shot across the bow of YouTube, right, for podcasting. And so they're seeing how successful YouTube is being in creating video shows that we used to call podcasts, and ours is a perfect example of that. Not that we're not that we're at the success level of a Pivot or a Rogan or anything, but ours is a great example, like where we have shifted to a video show that is also a podcast,
like this one, like this episode.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
Where you can't see me.
Yeah, perfect. We're executing
Yes.
brilliantly.
Yes,
And
we are.
so
We have a
the
plan.
to me, this is like them trying to get into the YouTube space because they can start to monetize it with visual ads, and all those kinds of things that will give creators, So it's a genius move to do because they'll start becoming more relevant again when it comes to podcasting. Because, quite honestly, YouTube and Spotify has been kind of eating Apple's lunch when it comes to podcasts. And they
Yep.
already are doing it when it comes to music. I mean, and I know that from personal now experience. I can see what Spotify is doing in music and what YouTube is doing in music, and it's definitely eating their lunch. So I think this is them saying, "Hey, we need to get serious about video."
It's almost like they've just gone in, and maybe it's just because they haven't had success in these other areas as much as they wanted to, but they just went all in with the hardware play.
Yeah,
And they
that's
said
right.
the other stuff is secondary. I mean, and by the way, that's not a horrible move for them. They
No,
are them and Google are the gateways, to the consumer. And so they have a lot to say when it comes to this, but it just seems like this is too little, too late, and I don't understand it. So
yeah,
they're going to add this on. Great for them. I don't
I
know if it's going
think
to do anything.
I think this is going to be bigger than you think. I think this is going to be a bigger deal
I
than
hope
you
so.
think. Yeah, I think this is going to be, we'll see whether they follow it up, right? With with ways that the creator community can monetize things and how they'll do ad insertions or not or whatever they're doing. But I think this is going to be I think this could be something. Apple is notorious about keeping their system really locked down. Like, unlike a YouTube, for example, where you can promote your videos and you can, internally create, money to promote you into the algorithm of discoverability and those sorts of things. Apple doesn't do that, right? You can't go on Apple and basically pay to have your podcast promoted to the top of the search results.
Yeah.
But maybe now they will allow some of that, which would be interesting because there is a lot of people who use Apple Podcasts, right? So
Yeah, we'll see. I'm
Yeah.
gonna hold back. I'm gonna wait until I get more data. I just they just
Wait till you get
they
back from
launched
Key
so
West.
many. Yeah, when I get back and I get full internet access somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on the ball, as you could tell.
Yeah.
Everything is
Here we go.
on.
All right, let's get to our winners and losers very quickly here, where Joe and I go off on a little bit of a winner or a little bit of a loser in the last week of marketing. And would you like to go first, just so that we can make sure that you?
Yeah, exactly.
You
got to
have
get
connectivity.
while I have the power. Mine's real brief, and I wanted to commend. Do you ever drink surfsides? Have you?
I have.
Are you a
I know
Surfside
Surfsides. I know
drinker?
Surfsides. Yeah, I know Surfsides.
Surfsides, they were like way after White Claw.
Yeah.
And then they came on, and what I'm impressed about Surfside here in Key West, and I may have mentioned this last year when I was here, but they're everywhere, and it's because they have flooded the market with umbrellas. Everywhere you go by the beach, by the water, all the bars, they have Surfside umbrellas, and I just thought that, man, that is just they picked something. They did it really well. They made all these free umbrellas. They gave it to everyone. Amazing advertising, and it's noticeable.
Yeah.
And I guess the more I think about it, and we've talked about things like doing a magazine or a book or whatever the case is, but picking something. And in Cleveland, it's really, we have I think I mentioned this before, we have a lawyer whose name's Tim Misney, and he's on almost every other billboard in the city. And it's noticeable, and he's become a rock star. And I'm going to talk a little bit more on this in my commentary, something akin to this. But I just think, it doesn't take much. Sometimes you just choose one thing,
Yeah,
and lean into it. And Surfside did that, and you just see them everywhere. And it's just, I think that sometimes we overcomplicate our marketing. They didn't overcomplicate. They say we're gonna supply every umbrella in Key West, and done. And they did it.
It's amazing, man. I have seen a definite move in this direction, which is a move back to classics, right? And you call it nostalgia, call it moving back to the basics, moving back, but physical experiences, physical branding is back. And I'm seeing it in SMB businesses, and I'm seeing it in the large businesses as well, where it's like physical events, small dinners, branding, physical items, is, and in many ways, it's what has happened with print, is that you're not fighting as much anymore, right? Because it became so out of fashion to do physical things, then, and everything was digital and measurable and performance oriented marketing, right? It's like, how do you measure umbrellas, right? It's like you can't, there's no click to measure, right?
Yeah.
The only thing you can do is measure brand lift, awareness lift, and or sales lift. I mean, that's it, right? And so, and that's all going to be mostly gut feel, and like, well, which areas of the umbrellas are basically performing the best. It's like, it doesn't matter, marketing is working. So it's a branding play, and that is really interesting, I think, right now, as we start shifting the sort of measurement into a world where physical becomes really, really super important, because it's a thumbprint of humanity, right?
It's the billboard thing is just
Yeah.
amazing how that's
Yeah.
just taken off. So
Yeah.
all right, what do you got?
All right, so I got a loser. My loser this week is Ring, and we talked a little bit about it basically on when we talked about the Super Bowl ads. But it was a Super Bowl ad, but it's this new feature that they were really sort of out there promoting, which is the new AI powered, which they call the search party feature, which is scans footage from neighborhood cameras to find, in the ad, it was like, to find your lost dog. It's like, and I'm sure they were earnest about it. Like, I'm sure the agency and the internal marketing teams were really earnest about this. I don't think they were actually trying to be cynical about it and pull a fast one. But what they didn't do was read the room. Like, coming right out of Minnesota, coming right out of, this database, which is now coming out more and more about the database that the federal government is creating on facial recognition and basically video that they're taking with cell phones on an app that's going into Palantir, that's creating a list. People are actually literally getting pulled aside at TSA because they said something bad or followed around the, ICE or whatever it is. So they just didn't read the room. And basically, they're now feeling the backlash. There's all kinds of articles now coming out about how they're feeling the backlash of consumers saying, we're shutting off our Ring cameras, et cetera, et cetera. Not the least of which is going on with this Savannah Guthrie's mom thing, with the kidnapping thing, which is, she wasn't moving her stuff to the cloud. In other words, she didn't pay for the recording of the cloud, as I understand it. And so all that Ring camera footage that they got, why was it there, right? And so it begs the question of, if you're people are getting recorded without them even actually being recorded, and basically what you're paying for is, like, they're recording everybody, but if you pay for it, you have access to it. And it's like, wow, that's not good, right? Even the impression of that isn't good for the brand. And so this to launch this feature now and do it in such a kind of ham-fisted way, I think was just a real not a good move. Not because they didn't mean for it to find the lost dogs. They probably did, but they didn't read the room right now about where people are feeling about video and capture and data and all that stuff. And so that's why I call it a loser this week.
Kind of like in London, you have CCTV everywhere places.
Yeah. Well, it's here now too, everywhere.
And
it's
they tell you
everywhere as well. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. But it's like, when you go over there, you see CCTV, you're being filmed, the whole thing. Here, they don't have any warnings anywhere, but you're still being filmed.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right.
I think it's
Welcome to Free Speech America, folks. Yeah, there you go. Okay, let's get to our rants and raves section, where Joe and I go off on a little bit of a rant or a little bit of a rave over something that makes us feel like we're sitting in Key West at a bar with no internet connection, or something that makes us feel like we're sitting at home listening to somebody with an internet connection in a bar in Key West. Would you like to go first again, my friend, just to get yourself out of the way?
Yeah. So last year, I was here last year in Key West, and since then there are a lot of places that closed down, a lot of retail outlets and a lot of bars and whatnot. And I noticed the ones that stayed open versus the ones that closed. And the ones that stayed open always have one thing that they differentiate with. So if it's Captain Tony's, it's the oldest bar. If it's Rick's, it's the cheapest drinks. If it's Sloppy Joe's, it's Hemingway's bar. If it's First Flight, it's Pan Am's headquarters, first headquarters. All the like one thing that differentiates them, and the other bars that were gone were just like Rock House Live or just Tiki House or just like a name of a bar, and it didn't really represent anything from a differentiated point. And it just goes back to, I was speaking somewhere about a week and a half ago, and a lot of people were telling me about, hey, this is what I'm doing, and it was fine, but they never really had like that one thing that really differentiates them. And so if we talk about this with our marketing or with our content, I just urge people to really think about, hey, what's that thing that differentiates you that you can go in an elevator pitch and really move forward with as the opportunity. And it's just clear as day when you go to a place like Key West and walk down Duval, but I don't think a lot of people think enough about that one thing that really differentiates them, specifically with this podcast in their content creation.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I think that's great.
There you go.
I think, it's what it all comes back to is it's really understanding your audience, right? And understanding what, where you can be. I actually wrote about this month, where you can be distinct, right? And it's like, it's in that bringing your personality out, which of course there's no shortage of in Key West, right? The level of personalities there.
Yep.
There was a news article. Did you see the news article where he's like, he was getting, all kinds of shit because he put up a rainbow flag sort of in his fence. And so all of this, the city council was giving him the business, or somebody was giving him the business. And he basically like, this is Key West, man. This, this is where all the drag queens came to live, right? This is what this place is about personality and distinctive-ness.
This is where
get off my yard, right? So my very quick rant, and we'll put the link in the show notes, is from my Substack, from my my Seventh Bear Lens newsletter, which if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. That would be great. It's basically a rebuttal. This last week, many of you saw this sort of thing that came out from Matthew Schumer, which was on where AI is right now in the world. And he's the one who claimed like I can make a perfect thing. And we created all this wonderful thing. And I wrote a pretty lengthy rebuttal to that piece on LinkedIn itself. And thank you for all of those of you, because I know there were many folks in the audience who actually commented on that. And I so appreciate all the comments. But then I wanted to take it a step further. So I actually wrote something on my newsletter this week. And ostensibly what I wanted to just very quickly do here was sort of tee it up. And then again, we'll put the link in the show notes so that you can go look at it. Basically, what I'm finding is that this argument about where we are with AI and the level of what we're all talking past each other. There are camps getting set up. And basically what's happening is all of the camps that are getting set up are ultimately disagreeing even within the camps. And so there's sort of this weird, very multi-Venn diagram going on where the debate that's happening is not really the debate that's happening, because we're all arguing different things. And I sort of put it into three camps. And the first camp is what I call the inevitabilists, or basically those that really look at AI as the output. And there is a pro and a con in this. There's people fighting within this in there, right? So in other words, on one side, you have what we might call the optimizers, right? Basically is like, they'll say something to the effect of, well, the output is 95% as good as what you're going to get from a human. So businesses are going to replace humans with AI because the 95% is fine. It's good enough, so there's the good enough output. And that's going to be the inevitable solution here about why people are going to get reduced. And then on the other side, you've got something like, well, if you think that 95% is as good as what a human could do, then you're kidding yourself, because AI creates average content, right? And of course it doesn't. It creates the most probable content. The most probable content might be brilliant. It might be shit. You don't know the difference until you can actually recognize the difference. And so that's the two fights that are in that particular camp. Then the second camp is what I'd call the laborers, basically, that are valuing ultimately the value of AI is built into how much effort it either saves, or actually how much effort I had to put into it. And I feel this one personally, because this is where I'm seeing a lot of my colleagues in music really talk about Rick Beato, who is a great follow, by the way. I love his channel, love his content. He recently came out and basically said, hey, I think it's wrong that Spotify puts AI music on Spotify because I took 47 years to learn how to play guitar, and it shouldn't be allowed, right? In other words, it's cheating because of my level of effort. I have to do that. But we could get into a whole discussion there about where that line actually gets drawn, right? Where do you draw the line of where human effort is? But on the other side, you sort of have the optimists there, which would be basically the prompt engineers, right? Those who are saying it's all you got to do is get really good at prompting, get good at AI, and then you're going to get good at AI, and then you'll be able to create some great output from that. And the key in both of those things is that in one, value is divided by the output. In other words, you measure the output of quantity, how much stuff we can produce. Did we produce the stuff? And on the other side, you've got the effort. How much human effort did it take to produce the stuff? Those two sides are arguing against each other right now, and we're arguing against the wrong thing. And what I'm suggesting is that there is a third way that I'm calling the curator way, which is there is a way to look at AI as a method, a tool that can help us be more of us. And more of us means that we have to be good at what we want to be good at. In other words, AI in varying degree will help us be good at the thing that we want to be good at. In other words, if we want to be good at music, we need to get good at music, and then we get good at AI helping us do more music. If we want to get good at strategy, we have to get good at strategy. And then, because one, on the output, we have to recognize what excellence looks like. That's where Matthew Schumer's argument really breaks down. And on the other side, we have to recognize that the effort required is going to change. It's inevitable. It will change. It is changing as we speak. So this idea of the invitation of AI to help us be better at what it is we do is there if we choose to accept it, and if we choose to use it in our own work. So anyway, you can read the whole article if you like. That's my basic rant on this whole thing is that we need to get to a better debate about this and really understand, well, what is it we are actually arguing for, or what is it we're actually arguing against? Because in cases, when we see something like what the Matthew Schumer article was, we see basically the opposite of that, which is he's saying one thing earnestly. He's saying, I grant him his earnestness, that he's saying this thing as earnestly as he can, but the rebuttal to it in many cases becomes, it's not happening, or it's happening, but it's not great, or whatever those things are. And we need to just make sure that we're debating the same thing. All right. That's it for this show. Thanks for hanging in there. We really appreciate you, really, in terms of hanging in there with us. We're going to try and cut this together so that it actually hangs together relatively well, and you don't have to deal with all those long silences that we were dealing with. It'll be a shorter show because of that. Well, we'll see you again next week. Joe will be back in the office, and we will see you when we see you. Until then, remember, it's your story to tell. Tell it. Hey, thanks a lot for making it this far in this week's episode, and thank you all for being a part of This Old Marketing. You can check out all the show notes of what we talked about today at thisoldmarketing.com, and it's also where you can leave us a review or a voicemail. We need those reviews and comments on whichever platform you follow us on. And if you haven't followed the podcast, please go do that and make sure you catch the latest and greatest episodes every Friday morning. We're on Apple and Spotify and all your other favorite podcatchers, of course, but we'd love it if you went over and subscribed to us on YouTube. That's right, YouTube. youtube.com/@thisoldmarketing. We'll see you again next week, folks, with another episode of This Old Marketing.